A lot of people look at the Old Testament and they think, well, that can't be. God isn't real, because if God were real, he wouldn't have let that stuff happen. Or how can God be praised by such wonderful things happening? And obviously, a lot of what we were reading, as far as those points go, they are very disturbing. They're very unfortunate things, and it should disturb us. That's the thing. The Bible's not trying to be an entertainment. Many people will sit down and watch a movie where people are getting blown up and killed and murdered and awful things on TV in the form of entertainment. That's not what the Bible's trying to do. The Bible's not trying to entertain us with gore and awful things, or shock us for just the sake of shocking us. What the point of the Old Testament is in demonstrating these things is to show us what happens when people forsake God. As we're reading through the Kings, we're reading of some kings that did what was right in the sight of the Lord, and some that did what was evil in the sight of the Lord. When people reject God, when nations become corrupt, we start to see the evil things that we've been reading of as we've been going through the Old Testament. And the Bible records these things. The Bible tells us these evil things, not because God approves in them. That's not the case at all. There's a difference between what God describes to us in his word versus what God delights in. God did not delight in these evil things that took place, but they were mentioned to us. The scriptures kind of pull back the curtain to let us see these things, to see the ugliness of human rebellion, to see the ugliness of war, of famine, of idolatry, of moral collapse, if you will. And that's where we start to see these awful, evil things. And so as we read through the Old Testament and as we see these types of instances, we shouldn't allow ourselves to become numb to it. We should be mourned by it. We should see, man, that's what happens when people fall away from God, and I don't want to fall away from God. The Old Testament is honest about human evil, and it reminds us why mankind so desperately needs redemption. And so as we read, I want to mention Romans 15, verse 4. Paul says here, "For whatever was written in former days," referring mostly to the Old Testament, "was written for our instruction, that through endurance and through the encouragement of the scriptures we might have hope." Now, what is that hope? Even amidst the evil that humans sometimes do, we still have the hope of a Savior. We still have hope of redemption if we are obedient to him.